Let me be your living proof.
My name's Rebecca Malden, and I'm on faculty at the School of Social Work at the University of Texas at Arlington. And I train students, I teach undergrads and graduates, but I also do research around social connectedness and focus on older adults and the relationships that they have and how that makes a difference in their lives. On a big societal level in the United States, we have an aging population. So there are so many people who are getting older, living longer lives, and very concerned with living as fulfilled and healthy lives as they can as they age. When we talk about older adults, it's a little bit difficult to know what are we talking about. People can get Social Security when they turn 65. So some people say, well, 65 and older is an older adult. Other people have sort of social landmarks, like I've been retired, or my children have moved out of the home, or maybe going through a major life transition like being widowed. All of those things are markers of entering old age, but we also have these, like I mentioned before, sort of arbitrary, well, 65 and older, or 80 and older, 85 and older. And in some ways, researchers have talked about young old, middle old, and old to try to differentiate between your experiences at 55 are very different from your experiences at 90.
They're not homogeneous. There's more diversity among older people than younger people. A lot of people don't realize that. When they try to stereotype older people, you can't do it. You could do it a lot easier with young people. They all have to have the same clothes, same. You've been around teens, right? So, it's older people have this diversity, so their needs are many, but social is the big need.
I think we have about 15 million people in the country who are 80 and older, and the first baby boomers have just hit that age. So the oldest baby boomers just turned 80 this year in 2026. Within 20 years, we're expecting the proportion of people 80 and older in the United States to triple. And so we're just seeing a growth of people who are older, and not only more numbers, which means more people may be needing services or having those life experiences that you would have at the age of 80 or that you might have as you age. But we're also looking at the balance of what does the structure of our society look like changing to.
AARP. Today we empower people to choose how they live as they age.
There are so many different ways of looking at the social lives of people. One is more of an internal experience, and a lot of times we'll talk about loneliness when we talk about what's your internal perspective on what is my social life like. And then there could be a more objective approach that's maybe the size of someone's social networks, how many people they have in their lives. It could be how often do you see people, or how close are you to the people that you interact with. And so all of that kind of goes into a big umbrella of social connectedness. But we can also talk about social engagement, where people are getting out in the community and being involved with just events and activities and being active out in the world around them, out in their social world. So there's this huge umbrella, and the language isn't always consistent. We can talk about relationships, we can talk about engagement, participation. It all is a different way of looking at being fulfilled with a social life around you.
The original Abuelitas de Oro started 5 years ago. I joined 2.5 years ago. That's what I love, when Melissa and Catherine tell the audience this group ranges from 66 to 86. Everybody's like,
I performed when I was from a young age till I was 18. Then, of course, life happened. I got married, went to school, got married, had children, and then after I retired, I wanted to go back to dancing.
being retired, you have more freedom, time to do what you love. I'm 74, so it's just as much fun dancing now than when I was 18. I love it. I love it. And I think all the ladies that are in the Abuelitas de Oro really like being in the group.
I love working with children. And they love us. They just get so excited when they see us. They'll run and hug us, and that part of it is just so special to me. I don't have grandchildren, so I consider them all my grandchildren.
You have to remember your steps. You have to remember your placement. You have to remember the beat of the music.
Because it helps us with our coordination. Our brain keeps active.
And everybody appreciates that as a elderly group, older people, that we're still able to dance and move, and really our thinking is sharp. So, our 86-year-old, she's getting ready to be 87 next month, and it's fantastic. I hope I'm still dancing at that age. We have to practice, and so we connect with that. After practice, it's in the morning, we go have breakfast together. The social aspect is very important, I think, for aging.
So we just have different people from different backgrounds, and all that we learn about their life and everything. To me, that's important, the socialization that we have within the group. Without Trinity's support, wouldn't be where we are today, because they sponsored us, they bought these costumes for us, and actually we do some performances here. We're invited to do performances here on Trinity. So without them, we wouldn't be as where we're at.
Connecting with people counts. And so a lot of times in research we look at how are older people making choices of where to expend their energy and resources, what are their capabilities for connection, and how do you make choices based on that. A lot of times researchers have come from the perspective of, as you get older and start thinking my time on this planet is shorter and shorter, that you want your relationships to really be emotionally satisfying and meaningful.
Friendships are one of the big challenges for older people, because if they live, a lot of their friends die. So the challenge is to make younger friends. And that's what my mother had to do, because she was playing tennis in her late 70s and early 80s until she got dementia. And she had to find younger women to play with, because all of her friends were either dead or not able to play tennis, that's for sure.
1, 2, 3, come on!
I think tennis people are great. I mean, they are just so loving and caring. I used to just introduce myself to everyone, say, hi, my name is Joellen. Hey, do you play tennis?
I think it's, a good thing, because you have your friends that you're around,
and you're communicating with them, which if you tell your life story practically to them every day. Yes. You need to have a lot of social contact. I think that helps a lot. Because when you transition out of work, that's where you usually have all your networks through people at work. So transitioning to this, you know, having a group of ladies that you see several times a week, it kind of just fills that void that you used to have when you were at work. We have a good time together. We go out for birthdays. I mean, you know, for everybody's birthdays, we go to lunch. I'm 69 years old, and look at me, you know, so I just feel like it's keeping me alive. I feel fortunate, very fortunate, because a lot of people have quit as they got older. Just exercising is like, oh, I got to go exercise because of my health. But if you could find something that you love doing and it's with a group, you're winning a whole lot of, you know, it's a win-win because you're meeting people that have the same interests that are there for you if you need someone. Yeah! It's just, the whole thing is to get out and get exercise and to join groups. Your age. I have to find younger ones now.
Group physical activity and social connection really pair well together. And in one way, they feed each other really well. So one thing we know about people's social networks and their connections is that it can encourage people to be healthier. So we're not yet talking about sports, but eat better, take your medication, go for a walk, do these things that really enhance your health. And that is one of the ways in which social connections do help people be physically more healthy. But when we think about group sports, there's a social component to it that sometimes people are more drawn to than even the physical activity. So maybe I love pickleball because who doesn't love pickleball? But it's so fun because I get to go and I get to hang out with my friends. And sometimes it can be really hard to tease out, like what is really making you excited about this experience? Is it the people or is it the sport itself? And so there's a lot of interconnection there. But give me something good and fun to do. Give me a good game of pickleball. Give me a workshop where we can build something or repair something. Those are things that have drawn men in more. And if you think about in later life, women tend to maintain their social relationships well, and men tend to be the ones who are more prone to be hit with things like being widowed and feeling bereft of social relationships. So sports, group activities, group sports are great for everyone, but I think it's really nice to think that it's an activity that can be particularly valuable and attractive for men who really need social connection, just like the rest of, just like women.
These guys that come out here, that's what keeps them healthy. That's what keeps them going.
Well, I got here in January of '99, and it had already been established. A gentleman came down the road walking about 3 houses away he lived. He was 89 years old and belonged to this tennis group. And so he asked me if I was interested in playing. I said, sure. And that's how I got started. Lots of times people will just come down to the court and see us playing, and then we'll tell them what days we play, and they'll come join us. You know, we tell them it's pretty much all doubles.
I came over here one Saturday morning and found these guys, and they invited me to play, and I've been here ever since. I played with guys up till 90 years old. Hadn't played with anybody over 90 yet, but played with several men that were 90 years old, and if I can play when I'm 90, that'll be great.
It's just the camaraderie, you know, there's no money involved, it's all for fun.
Oh, I've got great friends here. you know, these guys are, they give you the shirt off your back if you needed it. Tennis is a very social thing. Plus, you know, you're getting some exercise, but it's a wonderful activity. Some of these fellas, this is the only social interaction that they get, perhaps.
Because sitting at home, you know, there's nobody to talk to or anything like that. So this is a, you know, a good part of my social interaction with people, you know. It just, you know, picks up my spirits because, you know, 4 years ago, in fact, a couple of days from now marks the 4th anniversary of my wife's passing. And, you know, this is a way to kind of keep rejuvenated and keep my head straight. And the big thing is you know, stay active as much as you can.
So you got to enjoy every day. You only get one day at a time.
Probably one of the most important relationships that older adults have is relationships with family. These can be with spouses, adult children, grandchildren, extended kin. These are such important, deep, long-lasting relationships. Now, not everyone in the population is going to find meaning in that. Not everybody in the country is going to find this, you know, nurturing and beneficial. And it can vary depending on individual circumstances, but depending on family dynamic. It can also vary depending on culture. So some cultures are a lot more family-oriented and collective, some are a little bit more independent. So with older adults, there's a tremendous amount of diversity, and it's hard to say just one thing. Friendships and companionships are incredibly important too. From that, we can get fun, we can get different perspectives, we can get a lot of emotional support, and a lot of just a sense of going about your day and having a person there who means a lot to you.
Most of the times you make your friends because of your kids' friends. So then once you're empty nest, you're depending kind of on yourself. I had been retired 2 years, and I realized I had this vision, but I hadn't put it into place. So I just started looking around. How am I going to be closer to my grandchildren and my children, and how am I going to be part of a community, because I hadn't done that yet. So I have been taking classes to learn Mahjong, and I have completed my coursework, and I'm a very slow, deliberate player, but I have met some of the greatest people who are also not sure that they are very good at playing, but we've connected. My reason for wanting to move, number one, were the times that I knew I had to miss something that my grandkids did that was awesome. And a lot of my friends, their grandchildren are in their same town, and I saw what I was missing. So that was probably the number one thing. My one daughter said, "Mom, do you realize it's been 18 years since we've lived this close to each other?" That's a long time, not to be by your, you know, one of your one and onlys. So my husband is a professional golfer, and I need to play golf better. You know, it's just a thing I probably need to do. So right now we're in the process of him giving me a golf lesson every week. And it's a great bonding for us, because one of the things that I want to have in my retirement is my relationship with my husband to keep growing. I told someone the other day I was tired of my diagnosis for everything being the word old. Oh, you're old, so now you can't see as well. Or you're old, that's why when you're baking you're having a hard time measuring because you can't see as well. Old. What is it? It's just a word.
The other thing that's really important in terms of relationships is what sometimes in the research is called weak ties, but you might think of just like an acquaintance, or every time I go to Starbucks or whatever your favorite coffee shop is, I get to chit chat with that person behind the counter. those types of ties are also really important. It can ground someone in a community. It can help you feel like you are part of this fabric, but also you learn new things outside your typical and normal social group. So you might learn about a yoga class at the Y, or you might learn about, some kind of benefit that's being offered by your city government or something like that. So these ties that are considered not quite as close are also really, really valuable. So networks that have strong family, friends, and these like more weak, less close kind of ties are really beneficial. Another thing is, what kind of technology are we going to engage with that allows us to connect? Because I can guarantee you, people who are using Zoom to connect with their family members, they're 80 years old, that's the only thing they saw back in the day was the Jetsons, which was a cartoon in which people could actually see each other on something that looked like a handheld, little video device. And it seemed like it was just fantasy, like it was something in a cartoon for science fiction. And here we are engaging with people by video conference. And how easy is it to transition from not using certain technologies into all of a sudden feeling like, wow, this is my way of connecting with people because I'm not getting out as much as I can. And who knows what the technology of the future is going to be. Connection with nature has tons of physical and mental health benefits. And so maybe you have an older person who really enjoys being out in the garden, and this is their thing, and that's what really helps them feel fulfilled. That's great. That's wonderful. There's still a connection that's going on there. But I think there's all sorts of ways you can be connected. You can be connected to self. And so that's really developing like a sense of identity and self-worth and what gives you passion and meaning, purpose in life.
Unless you're a loner all your life, which some people are, we got to check out, if somebody's isolating in their room or in their house, and this has been something they've done all their life, it's normal. They shouldn't be considered depressed because they're isolating. But if you have a social butterfly and they're isolating, they've been a social butterfly all their life, and now all of a sudden they're isolating, then we worry. Because then there's and in general, most older people are social. And so we know that during COVID, we had a very high death rate in nursing homes, not just in Texas, but in the United States, nursing homes, assisted living, continuing care retirement communities. We have them all around us. Adult day services, we have reports of people being isolated and dying. And so the death rate went way up. And it goes way up when there's lack of social connection, meaningful social connections with other people. And it helps, of course, to have pets if you like pets. Not older people do. We assume they all do.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
I never think about being alone particularly. And this is a funny thing because I've been single now or alone. All right, when my husband first died, naturally you're heartbroken. I was very happily married. I moved here to be with the kids, and then the kids moved to Austin and various further, but we're still all close enough together. And I did not like where I was in San Antonio. I was in real bad traffic. And I was just overwhelmed with, I don't know how to buy a house. And I wrote down the things I liked about this house. Number one was the flagpole. Not number one, but one of the things. Landa Park is right here. And I had grandchildren that enjoy Landa Park to this day because it's a forever park. And I already had turtles and a bunch of animals, so I knew I was going to put a pond in the backyard. So that was an issue, that it had to have a backyard that would work with a pond. Well, I traveled from San Antonio to New Braunfels when I finally moved here. After packing everything, I put all the animals in the car, and I had 2 turtles. I had 2 dogs, 2 Italian Greyhound dogs, a cat, a parrot, and maybe some other odds, and an aquarium, all in my car. And I thought, from San Antonio to Braunfels, if I ever had a wreck, how would you explain that? Animals everywhere. An older lady that was a really good friend of mine, and we would talk various Sunday things, and she said, well, you'll always stay happily alive if you have a purpose in life. And I thought of that. As you get older, you have less and less purpose because your kids don't need you as much or want your input, and you just really. And so the purpose is I provide the animals for my kids and grandkids. I did make friends in the neighborhood. I made friends with, there's a club called the Newcomers Club that's anybody that moves into town, but once you're here, and once you join that club, you're here forever. I'm one of the oldest, that's next to the oldest or longest time in the Newcomers. There's one other person that's been there longer than me. And you go to see things in town that you'd never see. You make friends there that have interest in you with what you're doing. I had gardened my whole life. I hadn't had pets my whole life. I got those because of the grandkids. And the plants I had, because my mother could not garden. She would kill everything. I don't even know how. So that was one of my first things. If I would get an allowance, if I would keep the garden up in my front yard. But that was how I started gardening. Friends of the library, and I worked at the library for a while, but during COVID, I quit because of old age, and you can catch everything under the germs. But then they had this thing of, well, you can sit and sew on Wednesdays. Here's these sit and sew people. Little old ladies, all of them. So I look and I see each one of them are sewing on something different. Some are knitting, some are crocheting, and I learned beading from them. There's one lady there that does beading on a loom. And that's the one thing I've never even known anybody that did. At one time, way early on, when I thought, oh, well, I didn't kick the bucket, I wonder how long I'm going to live. Didn't really worry about that. But what age would you want to live? At one time, and this is just in my mind, don't know where I came up with it, 103 would be fine. I don't want to live to be 103 now. I think anybody at any age is going to miss what they were a year before. And even when I got my tricycle, I thought I just would ride it right in here. I'd never go anywhere with it. And I finally thought, you know what, I don't care. Yes, at first I was real subconscious. It makes you, look like an invalid, look like an old lady. And I thought, I am an old lady. You know what I mean? Why do I have to be embarrassed? I'm it. I'm still having fun. And that's why I have the electric bike and the fun car. And I have had a good life.
And the further you go, the more you know. Things may not last like you want them to. But should you need to believe, some things can always hold their value. Let me be your living proof. Let me be your living